All right, let's talk about a story that's equal parts frustrating and fascinating. Imagine running a mental health organization that supports vulnerable people, only to find out the government's promise to give you stable funding for multiple years? Yeah, that's still stuck in bureaucratic limbo. This isn't just about paperwork. It's about what happens when political promises collide with real-world consequences. And honestly, the more I dig into this, the more I see a pattern that goes way beyond New Zealand's borders. Here's the deal. Mental Health Minister Matt Doocey pledged back in 2023 that most community providers would get multi-year contracts by 2026. Sounds good on paper. But here we are, July 2024, and half the regions are still stuck with one-year deals, or no paperwork at all. Sally Pitts-Brown from Platform, the industry group, called it incredibly inefficient and disrespectful. And honestly, she's being polite. Try running a business or nonprofit when you can't plan further than 12 months ahead. Hiring?
Impossible.
Expanding services? Forget it. You're basically driving while blindfolded. Now, Doocey claims 80% will transition by the end of 2026 and blames the delay on budget timelines. But wait, if you make a promise, shouldn't you account for fiscal calendars? From my perspective, this reeks of a classic political dodge, announcing a policy with fanfare, then letting the machinery of government slow-walk it until the headlines fade. And Health NZ's excuse about modernizing legacy contracts? Sure, bureaucracy's messy. But when you're dealing with mental health services, delays aren't just administrative hiccups. They're actively harming people waiting for care. Let's zoom out. Labour's Ingrid Leary slammed this as a dog's breakfast, but here's what fascinates me. She won't commit to multi-year contracts either.
Why?
Because it's a political chess move. Longer contracts mean accountability for results, but also lock in spending that future governments might want to redirect. It's a tension I see everywhere. Governments want credit for funding services, but distance themselves from failures. Meanwhile, providers are caught in the middle, forced to trust annual rollovers, like a game of contract roulette. What many people don't realize is that this instability creates a vicious cycle. Can't hire top staff without certainty, so service quality dips, which then fuels criticism that providers aren't performing. But here's the kicker. Doocey wants to double the sector's funding share from 33% to 50%. That sounds noble, but without stable contracts, how does that money get used effectively? If you're a provider, do you invest in long-term programs or just scramble to keep the lights on? This isn't just a Kiwi problem. Look at mental health funding debates in the US or UK. It's a global struggle between short-term budgeting and long-term human needs. And, at the heart of it all, a question that keeps bugging me. When governments treat essential services like temporary projects, who really pays the price? The answer isn't politicians or bureaucrats. It's the people waiting on hold for a crisis line that's understaffed. It's the family stuck in limbo because a clinic had to cut programs mid-year. So here's my takeaway. This story isn't about contracts. It's about values. If we say mental health matters, we have to fund it like it matters, with predictability, respect, and urgency. The next time you hear a politician announce a historic investment, remember, a promise signed on paper is just ink until it survives a budget cycle. What do you think? Is this just the cost of doing business in democracy, or should governments be held to a higher standard when lives are on the line? Let me know in the comments, because trust me, this conversation's far from over.